Those are amazing earrings. I'm envious.
A friend of mine got them, found them for me.
They're all here because we've only got 2 empty seats because I put out enough for 2 extra, and of course they're in the front row. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we'll just wait for these people to
And
take
I
seats.
didn't wear a watch foolishly, so.
Oh.
But you did.
Good morning. My name is Jane Chaplin, and I'm delighted to welcome you on behalf of Middlebury's chapter of Phi Beta Kappa. Our main business this morning is to induct members of the classes of 2021.5 and 2022 into the society. But for the next few minutes, I will be providing some history and background to that business. One brief but essential announcement. In the event of an emergency, this is required by Vermont state law, we ask that you exit the auditorium and follow signs to leave the building. You can go out through the double doors you came in by, and there's another exit over there to my left. Thank you. And I will also say there's a photographer here, there's a live stream, but feel free to move around and take pictures, and we will have an opportunity for a group picture at the end. Okay, so what exactly is Phi Beta Kappa? The short answer is that it is the oldest academic honor society in the United States, but that is not how it began, and so I want to spend a little time on both its origins and its evolution. And by a little time, I mean really a little time, don't worry. So Phi Beta Kappa was founded in 1776 by a group of undergraduates at the College of William and Mary. At the time, it was one of several such clubs created by students interested in blending what we now categorize as academic and residential life. The founders of Phi Beta Kappa in particular wanted an opportunity to debate and discuss both what they were learning in their formal studies and issues of contemporary importance, such as the emergence of their new nation. Topics from the early decades include, and I quote, "Is a national debt a national benefit? Is political ambition consistent with moral integrity? And, apologies for this one, whether lawyers be beneficial to society?" To distinguish their club, the students gave it a Latin name, a Greek motto, a set of aspirations, and a badge. The name was Societas Philosophiae, meaning philosophical society. The motto was the phrase Philosophia Biu Gubernitis, which means the love of wisdom is the guide of life. The grip was a handshake using just 2 fingers, and we will demonstrate it and let you practice shortly. The aspirations were friendship, morality, and literature, where literature denoted scholarship, academic learning in general. The badge was a silver square medallion. On one side, it was engraved with the letters SP for Societas Philosophiae. The other side had the initials of the motto, so Phi Beta Kappa, and of course the motto is how the society came to be known. And in addition to the three letters, a finger pointing to 3 stars, signifying friendship, morality, and literature. Middlebury is lucky enough to own one of the oldest badges in existence. It belonged to Jeremiah Atwater, the college's first president who graduated from Yale in 1793. Early on, members started to have a stem added to the base of the medallion so that they could use it to wind their pocket watches, and that's the origin of the now famous key design. In the middle decades of the 19th century, Phi Beta Kappa became more an association of graduates than undergraduates, and what the society meant and did changed also. Members used it as a source of intellectual stimulation and activity in the years after graduation. That aspect of Phi Beta Kappa continues. There are alumni associations across the country, and you may wish to join one as a way of meeting people in your new homes. At Middlebury, Phi Beta Kappa started about a century after the society was founded. A group of faculty who had been members at their undergraduate institutions wanted to bring the organization here, and so they followed what had become the custom, turning to the nearest existing chapter, namely the one at the University of Vermont. UVM sponsored Middlebury's bid, and the chapter here was established in 1868. Again, following what had become customary, the chapters were identified by the letters of the Greek alphabet. So UVM is Alpha of Vermont, Middlebury is Beta of Vermont, and now St. Mike's is Gamma of Vermont. That's an extremely abbreviated history of the society you are joining. The PBK website has much more information, and there are entire books written about the society if you are curious. But to return now to the present day, yes, Phi Beta Kappa is an academic honor society, and if you were wondering, as I did, whether joining it means anything other than that you got really good grades, I would say yes, it does. It means a lot more than that. And here, please apologize. Please excuse me, I have to apologize. I don't know that I can get through this personal part without tearing up. I don't have to tell anyone in this room how hard the past 2 years have been. We all know, we all have our stories. But hardship can be clarifying. And one thing I have learned was just how much alums and students of Middlebury care about the kind of education that this college offers. When you all were sent home in the spring of 2020, multiple alums emailed me, full of compassion for you, and especially the seniors whose time was abruptly cut short. Among those of us who were on campus for 11 straight weeks in the fall of 2020, the most emotionally brutal semester I have lived through, there was still a sense that every minute in a classroom with other people was a gift. In other words, COVID taught me that we all love this, that learning in the company of others is infinitely precious to us. And learning in the company of others is exactly what animated Phi Beta Kappa in the first place. Once upon a time, I might have urged you not to forget the value of residential liberal arts education, but because of COVID, I already know that you carry that knowledge in your hearts. All right, I'm sorry, that was really sappy, but it's just, thank you. Okay, it is now my pleasure to introduce our speakers this morning, Ben Morris and Josh Simspayer. Ben is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Watertown, Massachusetts, and Josh is a Chinese language and literature major from Newton, Massachusetts. This is the first time, to the best of my knowledge, that we have had joint speakers. Josh and Ben are close friends, and they thought that the combination of their very different academic interests would allow, in their words, them to speak more thoroughly about a Middlebury education. So Ben and Josh, come on up.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning. My name is Josh Simspayer. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a Chinese language and literature major and a global health minor.
And my name is Ben Morris. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a molecular biology and biochemistry major and computer science minor.
Today, we are honored to have the privilege to jointly share our experiences with the liberal arts here at Middlebury.
A little over 3 years ago, after a Frisbee tournament in North Carolina, Josh and my travel plans from DC to Boston were disintegrated into a logistical nightmare as a result of an early spring New England blizzard, something I think we are all very familiar with. After making the first leg of our journey, our flight out of Newark was canceled, and 4 of us ultimately ended up packed into a train, our legs zippered together for lack of legroom. During that 5-hour train ride and ensuing midnight drive back up to Middlebury, our minds were filled with a whole palette of emotions. On the field, the tournament had been very successful, and we were both proud and excited about what we had accomplished. Off the field, though, it had been kind of a disaster. The whole team came down with a stomach bug, and the return journey was a nightmare. In class the next morning, a friend asked me how the weekend went, and I said, the Frisbee went well, and everything else was a disaster. Playing this tournament helped the team bond and gave us valuable experience and confidence in a season that eventually culminated in a national championship. But it was also expensive, exhausting, and at times miserable, and I think few of us would like to experience that weekend again.
So this story, in addition to being one about Frisbee and logistical nightmares, is one of nuance, one of holding on to a variety of emotions. Today, we want to talk about nuance. Today, this induction ceremony is about nuance. As defined in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, nuance is the sensibility to, awareness of, or ability to express delicate shadings, as of meaning, feeling, or value. For Ben and I, when we reflect on our experiences with the liberal arts here at Middlebury, we arrive at the common theme of an education in nuance. As a Chinese literature major, I have learned to explore and appreciate nuance in academics itself, as well as in the journeys my academic path has taken me on. For example, while writing my thesis last fall and winter, I had the opportunity to delve into the nuanced ways in which people, under the 2020 Wuhan COVID pandemic, learn to build resilience, both on the primary level of human experience and on the secondary level of narrative formation. On a linguistic level, I have, for better or for worse, been forced to explore the nuances of Mandarin. I have learned how to balance academic and colloquial registers, and phonologically, I have learned to differentiate and produce a myriad of different accents. While abroad in Kunming and Hangzhou, a mastery of this vocal nuance proved crucial to me building my connections with local students. Moreover, while I developed a community while I was abroad, I began to create an appreciation and respect for a cultural nuance. My Chinese roommate and I would often stay up until the wee hours of the morning, doing exactly what study abroad advisors tell us not to do, debating what is the meaning of life, what is happiness, what is an individual's role in society, and what is the purpose of government. And through these discussions, I learned not necessarily to agree with, but to see eye to eye with peers who've grown up under education systems and societies that are fundamentally different from our own. Frankly, I learned more in these late nights of nuance than I have in any course I've taken at Mid. No offense to my wonderful professors in the Chinese department.
In my classes as well, I've learned to find nuance in my learning. In introductory science courses, we are generally taught seemingly straightforward rules. The central dogma of molecular biology, DNA, RNA to protein. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, etc. As I continued on with my education, though, we have added nuanced layers to these lessons. Viruses like COVID can reverse engineer DNA from RNA. Cells can even produce ATP without mitochondria. This nuance is especially present in research. Experiments don't always go as planned, no matter how much time we put into them or how badly we want a certain result. Learning from failed experiments and interpreting unanticipated results has required me not just to be able to move on, though, but to approach the scientific process as a whole as one of nuance. Rather than biasing results with pre-existing explanations of what we hope to find or forcing data to fit into the established models, we've had to consider a range of possible explanations for why a given result may have arisen, and then design potential future experiments to test these hypotheses. In order to do so, it's certainly important to have a deep understanding of the basic biology that underlies a given process. But the ability to memorize facts for a test is not the most important lesson that I think people take out of introductory science courses. And Greg in the corner there is, I think, happy I'm saying that. Rather, the skills that one relies on in research or generally any class are those learned over the course of both academic and non-academic experiences and in a wide range of classes. Skills like problem solving, creative thinking, and the ability to move on after a full day in lab results in no tangible progress are not developed overnight, but from grappling with nuance and finding comfort in the messiness that is real science. This is something I'll need to continue to improve on for the rest of my life.
One of the beautiful things of nuance being an underpinning of our liberal arts education is that it requires us to be critical. Having this liberal arts experience at Middlebury has not just taught us how to be critical of academic works and critical of ourselves, but it has also taught us how we can and should be critical of the institutions we take part in. Therefore, during this induction ceremony, it is in the spirit of our liberal arts education to be critical of what Phi Beta Kappa is and what Phi Beta Kappa means in the context of what we are as a Middlebury community. Ostensibly, Phi Beta Kappa represents education in the arts and sciences, freedom of thought, and academic excellence. But it is worth critically thinking about the fact that this is an award that is decided by only one flawed measure of academic success. What does it mean for us to institutionalize the celebration of achieving high grades, achieving this normative measure of academic performance?
The link between socioeconomic status, access to top-end high schools, and college grades has been statistically proven a number of times. I personally was fortunate enough to attend private schools from pre-K through high school. Arriving at Middlebury, this helped me immediately transition to the increased workload we face here, and broadly prepared me for academic success in the form of good grades. It is beyond reasonable doubt that my privilege therefore played a large role in why I'm here giving this speech today.
Similar to Ben, I was fortunate enough to attend a private kindergarten through 8th grade high school and went on to one of the most well-funded public high schools in the country. How many of you have similar experiences? To this extent, as a so-called anti-racist institution, Phi Beta Kappa is inherently contradictory to the values we strive to uphold as a Middlebury community.
The intense disruption of the COVID pandemic, including this semester we had to finish classes away from Middlebury, and now 2 full years of Zoom classes, hybrid learning, and unpredictable classroom experiences, is also an unignorable part of our college experience. Again, when we consider that Phi Beta Kappa is awarded based on GPA, we must consider how COVID has had uneven impacts on people's ability to maintain a safe and productive learning environment. Given all the uncontrollable factors that influence GPA, it's crucial to recognize and celebrate our fellow students who aren't here today. Many graduating seniors have worked just as hard, if not harder than us, and have produced academic work equally deserving of our recognition. The fact that their GPA was not above whatever arbitrary threshold was required for Phi Beta Kappa election this year in no way diminishes these accomplishments.
Yet, the liberal arts encourages nuance, just like Ben and I experienced 3 years ago while on a train ride through a blizzard. Today, during this ceremony, we seek out and continue to live with nuance. We hold on to the pride that comes with this recognition of our academic success, while at the same time, we recognize that Phi Beta Kappa is deeply problematic. Therefore, in closing and with nuance, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was really, really wonderful and important, and I'm glad you said it. The next announcement concerns the Phi Beta Kappa Prize. This is awarded when merited by the faculty members of the Middlebury chapter. The citation reads, "To the graduating senior whose scholarly or artistic accomplishment and breadth and contribution to the intellectual life of the community best exemplify the Society's regard for intellectual excellence." This year, the Phi Beta Kappa Prize is awarded to Mihailo Poglad. We turn now to the business of inducting you. In a moment, Vice President Moss will serve you with our chapter's oath. My colleagues and I will then help you to practice the grip, and then everybody can sit down, and you only have to stand when you are being individually introduced. So, Vice President Moss.
So today we are going to use the induction oath that was used at Middlebury College Phi Beta Kappa induction ceremonies until 1926, and then it was revived in 1996. So it's quite formal. Candidates for admission into the Phi Beta Kappa Society, please rise. It hardly needs to be suggested to you that graduation from Middlebury will entail large responsibility for the after-collegiate years, and that you are thereby bound to highest ideals, worthiest planning, noblest action. But when, in addition to adoption by this alma mater, old, revered, beloved, you shall presently go out from these halls as sons and daughters of this, the most ancient of the college societies, your responsibility to friendship, morality, and learning, the triple principles which call the society into being and for which the college also stands, is thereby vastly enlarged. If I can get this. By the token of this key, worn in other years by thousands who gloriously served their day and generation before they fell on sleep, worn worthily now by other thousands about us, I pledge you to the higher levels of thought and achievement. By the sign of these stars, I challenge you to lift eyes above the sordid and earth-compelling forces about you. By the symbol of this directing hand, I charge you that you guard faithfully and well that to which you are committed this day when you enter the venerable portals of this society. By authority of this chapter, we extend to you the grip of the society and confer upon you its badge. From this day on, you are enrolled members of the Beta of Vermont chapter of the Phi Beta Kappa Society. Congratulations. Turn one of the pages.
Yeah. Or should we just
but-
quickly separate them and make sure they're all...
I can do
Oh,
this
you know
now.
what? Would you want me to give you... I've got a list of everybody that you could follow along.
That may be too much.
Okay.
I'll just do it this way. But catch me if I do
will contact
anything.
you if you skip
If I miss anybody. So I'll now go through the graduates, the new members of Phi Beta Kappa one by one. And this is one of the few moments that we encourage you to applaud individually each of the candidates. Yes, you can sit down. That's true. You can sit down, and when I call your name, rise, and we will tell the audience your majors and accomplishments, etc. We have several people in absentia, however. Kaya Marie Igard. In absentia, Kaya is a biology major from Bothell, Washington. Victoria Seema Albert, in absentia. Victoria is a history major from Valley Falls, New York. Rebecca Eyman. Rebecca is a joint major in English and philosophy from Pocatello, Idaho. And she writes, "Conversations with my philosophy department advisor have really changed the trajectory of my academic and professional life. He encouraged me to think critically about a broad range of ideas within and outside of the few classes I've taken with him, helping me shape my goal of pursuing a graduate degree in philosophy." Rebecca plans to be a litigation junior paralegal at Kirkland & Ellis for 2 years, and then she's hoping to attend graduate school in a JD philosophy program. Christina Badalamenti. Christina is an environmental economics and German major from Bayport, New York. She writes, "During my junior year, I worked for the German department as their teaching assistant. The pandemic made it a challenge, but I learned so much from the professors and got to play a big part in building the German community on campus, which was really meaningful work. I'll be living in Germany and teaching English next year as a recipient of a Fulbright scholarship." Eloise Birdall Baldwin, in absentia. Eloise is a history major from St. Paul, Minnesota. Elijah Benjamin Billich. Elijah is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Boston, Massachusetts. He writes, "In developing a research project in synthetic chemistry and publicizing my findings as a senior thesis, I have grown as an independent scholar, scientist, and communicator." He will be pursuing a PhD in chemistry at UCLA starting in August. Hugo Becker. Hugo is a computer science and economics major from Skåne, Sweden. He writes, "The experience most meaningful to my personal development during my time at Middlebury has been developing strong relationships with my professors, from witty back and forths with my econ professor, Pani Wanuva, and helping advising sessions with my computer sciences major advisor, Christopher Andrews, to running the Scandinavian Student Organization with the support of Cynthia Packard." I'm grateful to all three of them for the time and effort they have given me. I'll be moving to New York to work at OC&C Strategy Consultants as an associate consultant. Tyler Capela. Tyler is an economics major from Wellesley, Massachusetts. The mentorship and lessons I've learned through relationships with coaches and teammates in ice hockey, as well as my favorite economics courses, including economics of sports with Professor Summers and space economics with Professor Rao. Post-graduation, he will be an investment banking analyst at Barclays. Sophie Chalvin Jacobs. Sophie is an environmental policy major from Newton, Massachusetts. She writes, "The experience that has meant the most to me is collaborating with Vermont-based Migrant Justice, which is led by and advocates for migrant farm workers. Myself and other students have worked with them to expand their Milk with Dignity program, ensuring fair wages and conditions for workers, and to hold our own academic institution accountable to the justice implications of its actions and partnerships. While she is still deciding between a few positions, she's committed to doing community-engaged work after graduation." Catherine Concannon. Catherine is an environmental justice major and theater minor from Durham, North Carolina. She writes, "Working with my research advisor over the past 3 years to publish an article on marine conservation has been an incredibly rewarding experience. Sharing our work at the Spring Symposium felt like a wonderful culmination of our time together, and I felt proud and happy to be a part of MID's academic community." She will be attending an MFA program for live design at University of Texas at Austin and is in the costume design track. Molly Conover. Molly is an environmental policy major from Evanston, Illinois. She writes, "My most impactful experience at Middlebury has been learning in environmental studies classes through work with the Scott Center for Spiritual and Religious Life and independent exploration about spiritual, embodied, and traditional ecological knowledges, and exploring how to adopt practices and frameworks from those ways of knowing into my own life and work. Post-graduation, she is going to be doing a Quaker voluntary service 1-year fellowship." Elizabeth Dameron. Elizabeth is a psychology major from Charlottesville, Virginia. She writes, "I've loved taking fascinating classes across a wide variety of subjects and living with an amazing group of people. Current post-graduation plans to be determined." Ideal Dowling. Ideal is a political science major from New York City. She writes, "My experience being a part of the political science department at Middlebury, specifically taking challenging but highly rewarding courses on political philosophy and constitutional thought with Professor Murray Dry, completing an honors thesis on climate change, forced migration with the guidance of Professor Gary Winslet, and helping to research and edit 2 publications with visiting Professor Stanley Sloan has by far been the most impactful part of my Middlebury career for my personal growth. I'm extremely grateful to all 3 of them. Post-graduation, she writes, "I will be working in New York office of law firm Cleary, Gottlieb, Hamilton, and Steen as a corporate paralegal for 2 years before matriculating at Harvard Law School in the fall of 2024. India Young Drummond. India is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from East Conway, New Hampshire. She writes, "What has been most meaningful for me at Middlebury has been the coming together of people, academics, and place. I have loved delving deep into my independent research and thesis alongside my lab mates with Dr. Spatafora's guidance, running on the Tam and skiing at the Snow Bowl with friends, long proctor lunches discussing what class, for me religion, made us think and feel most deeply, and coming home on cold winter nights to sit by the fire with friends in Brooker Outdoor House." Post-graduation, she is currently continuing her research and publishing a paper in Dr. Spatafora's laboratory with the intention of attending graduate school in the fall of 2024. Lucy Emptage. Lucy is a neuroscience and psychology major from Medina, Minnesota. She writes, "Anyone lucky enough to have met or learned from Kathy Lee will understand why I think she is so influential to my personal development at Middlebury and beyond. Although she shared many pieces of wisdom in her Leadership Framework for Life class, two I will hold close as I enter my next chapter are Incremental Change is Lasting Change and LTLG, Learn to Let Go." Post-graduation, she's moving to Boston, where she'll be working as a life science consultant at Trinity Life Sciences. Jack Elliott English. Jack is a Japanese studies and computer science major from Montgomery Village, Maryland. Vincent Sylvain Falardeau. Vincent is a geography major from Seco, Maine. He writes, "Researching woodlots in Tanzania with Professor Kimambo, I learned all about remote sensing methods and detecting land cover change using satellite imagery. The process was immensely meaningful as I explored new research methods and developed new skills as a geographer." Post-graduation, he will be working as a cartography assistant at Roomline Maps with Middlebury alum Ben Meader and considering eventually returning to grad school. Matthew Fleegoff. Matthew is a political science major from Boston, Massachusetts. He writes, "Working as head coach for Oratory Now has given me the chance to think deeply about the various ways human beings communicate and how we can all be better at both expressing ourselves and listening to others." Post-graduation, he will be working as a white-collar litigation paralegal at Sidley Austin's Boston office before attending law school. Maya Freywitzer. Maya is a psychology major from Lexington, Massachusetts. She writes, "Taking a theories of clinical psychology course with my academic advisor, Professor Sehus, provided me with the rare opportunity to explore the realities of clinical work during my time as an undergraduate. The class allowed me to deepen my understanding of the myriad psychological orientations and inspired me to envision my own career as a researcher and clinician." Post-graduation, she will be acting as a research specialist studying sleep and circadian rhythms at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Mingzhou Gao, in absentia. Mingzhou is a literary studies and French major from Beijing, China. Kathleen Faye Gale, also in absentia, and we don't have her questionnaire. Nathaniel Gerke. Nathaniel is in international politics and economics and international political and economics major with a French language concentration from Scarborough, Maine. The experience that meant the most to my intellectual and personal development at Middlebury was studying abroad in Paris for the entirety of my senior year. My passions discovered and knowledge gained in Middlebury classrooms informed many of my conversations, inspired my travels, and thus helped make my time abroad so special. Post-graduation, he will pursue an MPhil in International Relations at the University of Oxford starting in October 2022. Rhys Glennon. Rhys is an art history major from Brattleboro, Vermont. The process of completing my thesis in art history with Professors Sarah Rogers and Katie Smith Abbott was a fantastic culmination of my commitment to research and scholarship fostered here at Middlebury. He is currently applying to museum and library jobs in the Northeast. Jay Hamill. In absentia, Jay is a mathematics major from Wellesley, Massachusetts. Catherine Hahn. Catherine is an economics major from Houston, Texas. She writes, my thesis in the economics department made possible by the support of my thesis advisor, Professor Myers, and my other professors and classmates, as well as the endless encouragement from my friends, are what she remembers most about Middlebury. Post-graduation, she is going to be an incoming investment banking analyst at Moelis & Company. Grace Hamilton Herring. In absentia, but I have heard that her parents are in the hall. So, Grace is a classical studies major from Bethesda, Maryland. She writes, working with Professors Gannabin and Starr to write an undergraduate thesis that analyzed two of Cicero's speeches in the late Roman Republic in the context of modern US immigration was a project deeply influenced by her studying abroad in Athens, Greece. Post-graduation, she plans to be working as a legal assistant in DC before matriculating into law school in 2023 and going into the field of immigration law. Jaden Veronica Hill. Jaden is a conservation biology major from Spruce Creek, Pennsylvania. She writes, the opportunity to work as a Just Talks facilitator helped me feel more connected to and aware of the Middlebury community. I learned an incredible amount from my coworkers and appreciated building personal relationships with staff as well. Post-graduation, she is going to be living in Vermont this summer to figure out the next steps. Rasika Iyer. Rasika is a neuroscience major from Windham, New Hampshire. She writes, my experience doing senior thesis research in the Spritzer Lab was a defining part of my intellectual development at Middlebury and helped me realize I want to pursue a research career. After graduation, she will be working as a laboratory research associate. She plans later to attend graduate school for neuroscience. Priya Core. Priya is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Parsippany, New Jersey. I believe that having the opportunity to engage in laboratory research in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry under the guidance of Dr. Lindsay Rebka has helped me apply the various courses I have taken, as well as strengthen my analytical and problem-solving skills. Post-graduation, she will be moving to Boston to begin her role as a life sciences associate consultant at IQVIA. Riley Kinham. Riley is an economics and history major from New Providence, New Jersey. She writes, through my participation in mid-core during J-term of my sophomore year, I was introduced to new communication and professional skills and met with distinguished alumni in various career paths. That was the first experience in which I felt like I had what it took to pursue a demanding yet fulfilling career. Post-graduation, she plans to be a financial analyst at Goldman Sachs. Elsa Corpi. Elsa is a political science major from Helsinki, Finland. Her senior thesis explored the intersection of financial technology and global governance. At Middlebury, she minored in Russian and served as editor of the Middlebury campus. Before graduate school, Elsa will be working in transatlantic policy at the American Chamber of Commerce. Christian Kummer. In absentia, Christian is a gender, sexuality, and feminist studies major with a minor in dance from Southbury, Connecticut. Nimaya Lamal. In absentia, Nimaya is a comparative literature major from Ripton, Vermont. Yumeng Michelle Liu. Also in absentia. Yumeng is an economics major from Hangzhou, China. Masha Makutonina. Masha is a film and media major from Odessa, Ukraine. She writes, in my film production course with Ethan Murphy, I for the first time felt the power of being behind the camera as a woman. A whole new side of me opened up, and finally I was the subject, I was telling the story, I was the director. Post-graduation, she will be interning this summer with the TED conferences as a content editor and actively looking for work in production in New York City afterwards. Sam Marshall, in absentia. Sam is a geography and computer science major from Manchester, New Hampshire. Matthew Hartree Martignoni, also in absentia. Matthew is a global gender and sexuality studies major with an Arabic concentration from Newton, Massachusetts. Nicholas Matthews. Nicholas is a political science major from Lawrence, Kansas. He writes, I've really enjoyed the opportunity at Mid to take a wide range of classes with many different great professors and interesting topics. Post-graduation, he's planning to work in Seattle, Washington. Wynne McClenahan. Wynne is a theater major from Montclair, New Jersey. She writes, I'm so grateful for the relationships I built with my professors over the past 4 years and their guidance throughout my thesis process. Post-graduation, she will be performing off-Broadway with the Potomac Theater Project at Atlantic Stage 2 in New York City. Catherine Hayden Mclaughlin. In absentia. Eva Morgan. Eva is a neuroscience major from Brookline, Massachusetts. She writes, "Conversation with friends about their academic passions and interests has meant a great deal to my development here at Middlebury." I don't see post-graduation to be determined. Benjamin Yvonne Morris. Benjamin is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Watertown, Massachusetts. He writes, "The experience that has meant the most to me at Middlebury has been joining and working in the lab of Greg Pask in the biology department. This work has helped me grow as an independent thinker, challenged me to solve problems and think critically, and helped me develop skills that I will continue to draw on throughout any career I eventually pursue." Post-graduation, he has received a Caseby Scholarship to pursue a master's at the University of Cambridge studying immune regulation in cancer next year. After returning to the US, he hopes to pursue a PhD in molecular biology or a related field and ultimately a career in biological research. Andrew Ng, in absentia. Andrew's an economics and biology double major from Woodinville, Washington. Liam Dennis O'Brien. Liam is a mathematics major from Tempe, Arizona. He writes, "The support I received from my friends on the swim and dive team was invaluable for my intellectual and personal development at Middlebury. Post-graduation, he will be attending a PhD program in mathematics at The Ohio State University." Ryan Obiela Young. Ryan is a music major from Portland, Oregon. He writes, "My time with the college choir has helped me develop academically and personally. I am grateful to be able to call them my friends." Post-graduation, Ryan plans to pursue a career in software development. Kendall Pittman. Kendall is an Education Studies and American Studies major from Leverett, Massachusetts. She writes, "My personal relationships with my professors in both my majors have completely shaped my experience at Middlebury. My professors have simultaneously pushed me to excel, critique, and reflect, as well as supported and encouraged me both in my academics and in my personal life throughout my 4 years. Post-graduation, she will be teaching environmental education with BioCitizen in Los Angeles for the summer, then working as a lead instructor at the Montana Outdoor Science School in Bozeman, Montana." Mikhailo Poklad. Mikhailo is a film and media culture art joint major from Kyiv, Ukraine. He writes, "Instead of talking about a particular event, I want to highlight the role of a building. Johnson Memorial Building. Here is where my passion for art has been born and blossomed. Studio art classes, critiques, conversations with peers and professors, and much more happened in the mazy labyrinths of this building. And now, when it is being temporarily closed for renovation, I want to express my gratitude for this particular space, an island of geysering creativity." Post-graduation, he plans to get an MFA in Visual Communication Design at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Jennifer Pushner. In absentia, Jennifer is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Newton, Massachusetts. Cynthia da Silva Ramos, also in absentia. Cynthia is an IGS and East Asian Studies major from Addison, Texas. Olivia Rior. Olivia is a psychology and Chinese major from Brookline, Massachusetts. She writes, participating in psychology research and serving as a captain of the Middlebury swim and dive team has given me the opportunity to grow and learn during my time at Middlebury. In addition, I've learned so much from interactions with my peers, both in and out of class. Post-graduation, she plans to pursue a career in education, beginning with working in the Middlebury admissions office for the next 2 years. Maya June Sauer. Maya is a dance and English and American literatures major from Madison, Wisconsin. She writes, organizing Nocturne, Middlebury's annual student arts festival, has inspired me to seek collaborative opportunities for learning and empower others to share their creative voices. Post-graduation, she will be moving to New York City in September to work in public programming at an arts organization. Ethan Saxenian. Ethan is a computer science major from Leverett, Massachusetts. He writes, I'm grateful to have formed a close group of lifelong friends who have supported me throughout my time at Middlebury. This summer, he will be working part-time on a farm and part-time doing remote software development. Corey Scheinfeld. Corey is a computer science major from New Rochelle. He writes, my one-on-one experiences with individuals have been a core part of my growth at Middlebury. Gym trips with a buddy to reset and debrief after a long day, partner work late into the night on long assignments, advisor meetings exploring the meaning and purpose of hard work were truly integral and meaningful pieces of my experience that I look back on with pride. Post-graduation, he will be starting full-time at TradeWeb Markets as a software engineer this July. Joshua Marcel Sims Speyer. Joshua is a Chinese language and literature major from Newton, Massachusetts. He writes, at Middlebury schools in China, Hangzhou, I had the opportunity to take a tutorial course on the philosophical underpinnings of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. During this course, I engaged with the ancient theories of yin, yang, wuxing, and learned firsthand about the healing techniques of Baguan and Zhenjiu. But more importantly, I was able to discuss with my peers the role TCM and its underlying philosophy played in their lives. Through this, I began to realize that I had built lasting relationships with people whose outlook on life, disease, and death were fundamentally different than mine. Starting this fall, as a Blakemore Freeman Fellow for the Advanced Study of Mandarin, he will be attending the National Taiwan University's International Chinese Language Program for an academic year of intensive Mandarin instruction. Yuka Tatsumi. Yuka is a neuroscience major from Kyoto, Japan. She writes, I can confidently say that the conversations I had with all my previous professors have shaped who I am today. Without their support, I could not have completed 2 years long scientific independent projects, become trilingual and study abroad in Taiwan, or found out that I truly want to pursue the study of language science. Post-graduation, she plans to work in a lab for a few years and pursue a PhD in the field of neuropsycholinguistics. Gwendolyn Guyan Taylor. In absentia. Gwendolyn is a elementary education and English and American literatures major from New Orleans, Louisiana. Grace Weissman. In absentia. Grace is an independent scholar from Tacoma Park, Maryland. Emma White. In absentia. Emma is a neuroscience major from Dover, Massachusetts. Sergio White. Sergio is an International Global Studies Latin American major with a minor in Portuguese from South Burlington, Vermont. He writes, I really appreciated having the opportunity to write a thesis on a music genre that is considered bad in my culture. It meant a lot to me to have the academic support of my professors in the Luso-Hispanic Studies and music departments, as they have always given me fantastic advice and valuable encouragement. Post-graduation, he's taking a year off in order to prepare applications for Spanish or ethnic studies PhD programs, as he would like to become a professor. Matthew Johan Wilson. Matthew is an English and American literatures major from Kirby, Vermont. He writes, having the opportunity to work with Professor Mayhew Bergman on an independent writing project over the January term of 2022 was one of the most impactful experiences I've had at Middlebury. Additionally, all the writing professors I've been lucky enough to work with throughout my time at Middlebury have been inspiring and supportive. He plans on spending the foreseeable future starting and running a foundation in memory of his late sister, Anna Mariah Wilson. Our foundation will provide funding to organizations that support access to recreation, sports, and educational programs dedicated to promoting healthy lifestyles and community engagement for all. Clara Masland Wolcott. Calera is an environmental studies and architecture joint major from Omaha, Nebraska. She writes, my first year seminar, Literary Borders with Professor Stacy Casarino, has stayed with me and shaped how I view the borders in each of our lives. It changed how I thought spatially, leading me into architecture and how I relate to people and their stories. Post-graduation, she plans to attend summer language school in Taiwan with the Critical Language Scholarship. Ruoheng Wu. In absentia, Ruoheng is an international politics and economics major from Auckland, New Zealand. Xiaoyu Wu, also in absentia. Xiaoyu is an economics major from Sichuan, China. Ege Berend Yusbas, also in absentia. Blake Joe. Also in absentia, Blake is a mathematics and Japanese studies major from Suzhou, China. Robert Zhu. Robert is a molecular biology and biochemistry major from Santa Barbara, California. He writes, I've enjoyed the depth of engagement to many of my courses and the commitment of my professors to my growth in academic pursuits. Post-graduation, he plans to be doing research at UCSF. Congratulations, I think that's it. And yes, we have a photograph, a group photograph.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm always very grateful that my job does not involve all those introductions. So now a word about graduation. Students graduating Phi Beta Kappa are supposed to wear pink and blue honor cords. The honor cords should be draped over your shoulders like that. So we're going to give them to you in a moment with your certificates. Please do wear them tomorrow. We look forward to being able to identify you easily. I'd like to close with a couple of acknowledgements. First, as you heard, staff and faculty play profound roles in the lives of our students. This is a pretty small crowd. If anybody's here, please stand, but in general, I think it would be nice if we could give a round of applause to staff and faculty. Finally, you guys are amazing, but as amazing as you are, there are people who are even more amazing, and that is your parents and family members who made it possible for you to be sitting on this stage this morning. So let's end by recognizing and thanking them. So that ends the formal part. You guys, before you leave the stage, you need to pick up your honor cards and your certificates of membership. Professor Watson is going to have the honor cords, and Professor Morrison will have the certificates, so you're all coming out this way. Juniors, you already have your certificates. Thank you all very much.